Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and like. Season 2 opens at the party with JJ, the time after she left Yuri and gone to Kiefer, because deep down, they truly loved each other. They were celebrating the start of the new year together. Kiefer leaned in, ready to kiss her. They stood close, happy, breathless, wrapped up in each other. She was overwhelmed, lost between what she was feeling and what she imagined. Later, she went to check her school uniform. She whispered to herself that so much had changed since the first time she wore it, since the day she stepped into school for the very first time. Memories rushed back. Every moment she had shared with the team, their joy, their pain, their struggles, and how everything had revolved around her. Their laughter, their tears, and all those memories wrapped around her heart. She put the uniform on and stared at her reflection, remembering her simple, quiet moments with Kiefer, especially on New Year's Eve, the night she chose to be at his side and left Yuri behind. Even though she and Yuri were supposed to be in a relationship to keep things from falling apart, she pulled herself together. She needed to be stronger and focus on what she had now. She finished getting ready in her uniform and noticed the flood of messages waiting for her. After all, she was on her way to meet the king of failures, Kiefer. She wondered how she would face him, especially after accepting Yuri's marriage proposal. She shouldn't have gone near Kiefer at all. Just then, her aunt walked in, delighted by the newly arranged room. She told her that Yuri had come earlier and asked for permission for them to leave together. He was waiting downstairs. Her heart tightened. After her aunt left, she stared at Yuri's ring, reminding herself that she was officially engaged to him. She had to stop thinking about Kiefer completely. She steadied herself and headed down. It was time to return to school. When she reached the entrance, Yuri was waiting, greeting her warmly. He immediately offered to carry her bag. It was his duty now, he said, since he was her fiancé. The word fiancé shocked her, a word too big, too heavy. Suddenly, Eris appeared and refused to let her go with Yuri. But Yuri didn't care. He wasn't afraid of Aris anymore. Not now. She stopped the tension, gently telling them she wanted to go with Yuri and speak to him. Yuri liked hearing that. It meant Aris no longer had any claim over her. They walked together, under Aris's frustrated glare, until they reached school. She was still shaken, waiting for the moment she might see Kiefer again. Yuri asked if she was okay. She admitted she still hadn't spoken to Angelo. Not yet. She wasn't ready. Yuri apologized for not being honest about his feelings before, but now, he wanted to make everything clear. His sincerity touched her. She felt she needed to tell him about what happened with Kiefer on New Year's Eve. As soon as she tried to speak, he interrupted. Of course it was about Kiefer, but he didn't want to hear it. Not now. He didn't want her to apologize. He understood her. He was ready to wait, even until their wedding day. He held her hand gently, reassuring her. He wished she would give him a chance, not shut her heart, so they could love each other. Both of them. His words pierced her. Did she love him? Or was it only because he treated her so well? Or because it was her duty toward her family? Her thoughts ran wild. She wondered how their classmates would react. Yuri didn't seem worried, though drama was guaranteed, especially since everyone knew she and Kiefer once had feelings for each other. She decided to remove her ring and hang it on the necklace she wore, hiding their engagement from the class. Yuri teased her playfully, not wanting things to feel awkward. They should act like they were still friends, like always. He joked, she laughed nervously, and when she turned to leave, he suddenly kissed her. She froze, shocked. He was thrilled, but she quickly walked off, telling him not to pick her up from school again. People would notice. He watched her walk away. She entered the school with the rest of the students, trying to stay calm, but as she walked down the hallway, Kiefer appeared. He startled her and pulled her aside. He scolded her for saying such harsh words to him on the first day. Then, without warning, he leaned in as if to kiss her again. She stopped him immediately. He knew exactly what effect he had on her, yet he wouldn't stop flirting. He didn't understand why it upset her. He loved her. Wasn't that enough? His words shook her deeply, but she didn't want this. She felt like she was betraying Yuri. She begged Kiefer to stay away. He refused. They weren't in a relationship. There was no betrayal, and as far as he was concerned, she was his and only his. She thought he was insane, but he didn't care. He grabbed her again and kissed her. This time, she gave in completely. She melted into him. She loved Kiefer. Every part of her knew it. New Year's Eve flashed before her eyes, but then Yuri's words echoed in her mind, the promise that he would wait for her until their wedding day. Her heart snapped. She pushed Kiefer away and hit him hard, leaving him stunned as she ran off, breathless and confused. She reached the classroom, where everyone welcomed her warmly. She smiled, relieved. The first person she approached was Calix. She checked her equipment and asked about his girlfriend, Mika. Everything between them was fine, and they laughed together. Then she ran into Drew, who still looked as dramatic as ever. She laughed, greeting the whole class, happy to see them again. She ignored the lunch chatter and scanned the room. Something felt off. She asked about Cenne, but no one had heard from him. Her worry grew. Had something happened to him? Still, she continued greeting everyone, trying to stay calm, while her heart whispered that something was definitely wrong. Suddenly, Kiefer walked into the classroom, and everyone froze. A bruise marked his lower lip. The students burst into laughter, teasing him non-stop, but she couldn't hide her smile, because she was the one who did that to him. She turned her focus back to the classroom. Nothing had really changed. Everyone was laughing, playing, settling back into their routines. Yuri entered and quietly took his seat. Kiefer followed, each one sitting in his own place. Yet she could feel the shift in the air. So many things had changed between them all. The teacher arrived, greeting them with warmth, happy to see the class together again. But he also announced major changes ahead. There would be new activities, more challenges, and most importantly, final exams that would determine whether a student would graduate or not. But Yuri leaned toward her, reassuring her softly. She would graduate, he promised. Her face lit up with relief. Kiefer saw that, and it irritated him deeply. During lunch, the portions were smaller than usual. Students complained, but Kiefer simply took whatever he wanted, piling extras onto his tray. He went to sit next to JJ, who wished more than anything that he would just leave her alone. When she tried to stand up, he grabbed her wrist gently, pulling her back. "Do you want everyone to know what happened on New Year's Eve?" Her heart jumped, but she pulled away, refusing to engage. She stayed cheerful around him, only until Yuri arrived. The moment she saw Yuri, she rushed to check on him. Kiefer had been annoying her again. Yuri reminded her, with quiet firmness, that she should never forget she belonged to him. Overwhelmed, she stood up suddenly and walked away, not wanting Yuri or Kiefer to follow her. Yuri looked hurt. Kiefer looked thrilled. She escaped to the rooftop, grateful to finally breathe, without being crowded by their chaos. She dialed Cenne again. Still no answer. He had been missing all day. Then, unexpectedly, Drew arrived. He looked upset, weighed down. She sat beside him gently, asking what was wrong. He confessed he was disappointed in himself. He felt like a coward. Love, he said, was painful when it wasn't mutual. He couldn't express his feelings to the person he cared about, and sometimes he thought it was better not to be stuck between two people for no reason. He showed her a picture of the girl he loved, and she froze. It was her. Her appearance had changed so much. No wonder she didn't recognize herself in his shy glances. She laughed awkwardly, touched, but embarrassed. Drew cheered up, and she continued eating while they talked about love, life, and little frustrations. Time passed, and she finally headed home. There were gifts waiting for her, many of them, but what startled her most was the visitor sitting inside, Cenne. She rushed toward him, anxious. He hadn't gone to school all day. Her aunt left them alone, saying she missed him terribly. She smacked his arm lightly, scolding him. "How could you be here and not at school? What happened to you?" He explained everything. His brother had locked him up and sent him to England because he was always causing trouble. He'd been trapped for a long while, but he escaped, took all his belongings, and came straight to her. He would be staying with her now. He already told Angelo, and Angelo agreed. Right on cue, Angelo appeared, confirming everything. He glared at Cenne and left instantly. They couldn't stand each other. Cenne explained that his mother wouldn't look for him. No one would care, and that he'd be sleeping in her room, just like Angelo had arranged. He dashed off immediately as she called after him. Later that night, she struggled to sleep, but Cenne was in the bathroom, singing at the top of his lungs. His voice was so loud it startled her awake. She tried checking her phone. Yuri had messaged her a sweet good morning. Of course, Kiefer had also texted, teasing her as always. She blushed, then hid under her blanket. When Cenne came out of the bathroom still humming, she groaned in frustration and went downstairs for breakfast. Aris walked out the moment she entered. She approached Cenne, noticing sadness in his expression. Something was wrong. He stood up abruptly, trying to leave. She followed him, insisting on knowing what happened. It was the first time she'd seen him sad like this. He finally admitted what Aris had told him, that she was leaving their division, that she had to stay away from him. She denied it fiercely. She didn't want to leave anyone. She didn't want anyone pushed away from her life. Kiefer suddenly appeared and grew irritated. Others overheard the conversation. Rumors spread fast. She kept denying it, refusing the idea entirely. The whole group didn't want her leaving the division. Cenne held onto her arm. Yuri arrived and saw it, but she quickly pushed Yuri aside so she could chase Kiefer, who was heading toward Aris. She told them all the truth. Aris had stolen her father's phone number. She chose them, the division. She would stay with them no matter what. JJ ran after Kiefer to stop him before he did something reckless. A fight broke out. Kiefer knocked Aris down easily. He was stronger. Another one of Aris's friends hit Kiefer, injuring him. Yuri defended Kiefer, trying to stop the fight, but tensions kept rising. JJ rushed in between them, shouting for everyone to stop. The others blamed her, saying she was the reason for all the problems. Freya couldn't stand them either. Drew stepped back because he cared about Freya, trying not to cause more trouble. Kiefer didn't care. He wanted a fight. He wanted a choice. He told her she had to choose, him or Eris. She apologized to everyone, including Eris, and declared she would not leave the division. Kiefer and the whole group were thrilled, but he reminded her she had lost her chance of being with her father, and she would be the one to suffer. He then challenged her, because he always got what he wanted. He promised her he would take her to her father himself. This crushed Yuri. The rivalry between Yuri and Kiefer burned brighter than ever. Overwhelmed, she ran to the rooftop again, bringing food with her. She approached Kiefer quietly, ready to tend to his wounds and to his heart. She helped him clean and dress his wound herself, hands trembling, heart pounding, and for the first time, Kiefer apologized to her. She smiled softly, surprised and touched. He admitted that he should probably apologize to a lot of people, but none of them mattered. Only she mattered. His words struck her deeply. They gazed at each other, the air thick with unspoken emotions. When she tried to walk away, he gently pulled her back, their eyes locking even more intensely. Suddenly, the memory of New Year's Eve returned to both of them, that night when they were together. But Yuri appeared in her mind as well. He wasn't willing to give her up. He would fight for her. She felt torn between them, utterly lost. She jolted awake, breathless. That dream again, the same one repeating over and over, so she tried to clear her thoughts. She went to find Yuri. He greeted her tenderly in the morning, but her mind drifted to Kiefer. He hadn't messaged her. And Cenne. He had laid out all his things for her, trying to wake her earlier, but she hadn't responded, so he left. She rushed outside to find him. Her friend caught up to her, warning that someone had been following her. She panicked and immediately tried calling Kiefer, but before she could reach him, she saw two men attacking him. He fought them fiercely. She wanted to run, but she couldn't. She jumped in, refusing to leave him alone. More men showed up. One told her they wanted JJ because she was connected to Kiefer. She denied everything, insisting they weren't together, but they didn't care. They reached for her. Kiefer stepped in front of her instantly and took the hit meant for her. She froze, horrified, as blood spilled. Back at school, class ended without JJ showing up. Yuri and Kiefer exchanged worried glances. Something was wrong. Yuri's anxiety grew. He told Kiefer he couldn't reach her by phone. Both remembered the moment they had once agreed to challenge each other and let JJ decide who her heart belonged to. The competition between them had already begun, but two of them didn't know where JJ was. They rushed in, panicked. No one knew where JJ was until the message arrived. She was in the hospital. They sprinted there, Yuri calling nonstop, desperate, frantic. They kept asking everyone until at last, they found her. It turned out her friend Ruru had been the one injured. He needed a week of rest. She had come to the hospital because the sight of his blood overwhelmed her. Her nerves were too sensitive. She fainted. If David and the security guard hadn't been with her, she wouldn't have made it. A strange man appeared then, warning them to stop acting like heroes. Before leaving, he called someone, checking on JJ, saying she had been in shock from Ruru's blood, and that Kiefer kept putting her into danger. He hoped things would settle when that person returned. No one knew who he was talking to. Meanwhile, in her hospital bed, JJ trembled as memories of every time she fainted at the sight of blood flashed in her mind. Kiefer came in and found her crying. Immediately, he wrapped his arms around her as her tears fell, trying to soothe her shaking body. He reminded her that he was always the one who stood by her, the one who comforted her when she was weak. He reassured her gently, again and again. She feared the Rams gang that kept chasing them, but he kept calming her, telling her she had seen enough blood already. Even though she hurt no one, she confessed something quietly. She knew Yuri was her fiancé, but she couldn't stop feeling something different, something warm and beautiful. Whenever she was with Kiefer, he told her to rest. Then, he lifted her in his arms, carrying her through the hospital corridors. Yuri was still searching desperately. Yuri, he is frozen, seeing Kiefer walking toward him, carrying JJ, their eyes locked. JJ and Kiefer gazing at each other, breathless, connected. Yuri's heart shattered. Kiefer walked past him calmly until Yuri blocked his way. He looked at her and declared, "I will never leave you. I will fight for you. Her heart pounded. Was this all a dream? If it was, she wished she could wake up, but it wasn't a dream. This was the beginning, the true beginning, of the battle for Jaje's heart. Yuri versus Kiefer. Both determined, both in love, both ready to fight for her. Who will JJ choose? That we will discover in the next parts. Stay, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. Bye-bye.